I told you I had a winning row.
Yeah, stick in this row. Yes.
We'll take another row later.
Thanks, Congressman. Can you give us an update on the committee room lockout? Have you gotten new keys? Are you jimmying the lock, or what are you doing there?
I told you I was a little like Gandhi. If the majority wants to cut off debate, if they want to lock us out, if they want to ignore the advice and counsel that an alternate view might give, they do so at their own peril. I was disappointed when, in fact, this was retribution for my asking for a vote that would have won with bipartisan support. But having said that, I will wait for that lock to be changed as a gesture of goodwill, that, in fact, they understand that we should be welcomed into the room, not locked out. Yes, we are.
Could you provide a little more background?
For those who weren't aware of it, after the majority didn't show up for the markup, and we don't have any questions. They didn't show up because they didn't have the votes of their own people to keep us from getting the subpoena that we've been pushing for months. They huddled in the back room for 35 minutes after a markup was supposed to have started. It just literally never started. No one came out. We made a lot of fun of that, and we tried to be good-natured about it. But you know, we had a little hit the road Jack music, and we showed the members of the majority running out the other side, not having done their job. They didn't take it well, and they took revenge. Having said that, we got the important thing for the American people, which was we got a subpoena that we were entitled to, and we were entitled to it because the truth is the majority of the committee wanted that. Chairman Towns has been a good person to work with, and I hope that we get back to the kind of mutual respect that will unlock that door. I guess we go next row back.
Yeah, two things, if I may. You mentioned about Social Security. What about
But you're too young for that. You're going to be part of that next generation,
I appreciate
sir.
that comment, believe me. But what about the unfunded obligation currently for Medicare Part A, B, and D? And according to the trustees' report, that unfunded obligation is about $40 trillion. I think it's 20 years out or something, but gradually increasing, which the public is not aware of. Congress, you don't hear anything from Congress. And this is a bomb. It's just unbelievable that there's no attention being given to that, considering this monstrosity of a health care bill that they want to pass, which would, who knows what it would do to that.
Well, it would take $500 billion over 10 years out of the funding that's already there from a program that's underfunded. As you know, we only pay about 70 cents on the dollar of what we should appropriately pay for services for our seniors.
The second part has to do, considering the massive problems caused by the subprime, the breakdown that you went through it so beautifully. How much sentiment is there in a Congress in both parties to address that? Because we really hear nothing. What you've told us is good, but there's nothing out in the public arena. There doesn't seem to be a widespread appeal among members of Congress, both parties, to address this monstrosity that caused this huge meltdown, which we are now paying for. Why isn't this up at the top of the priority list?
Well, you know, when I had to be promoted over 8 of my peers to head this committee, even on the minority, and part of the reason I hope that I got it was I'm the kind of person that is in a position in my life that I can say the emperor has no clothes, and eventually everyone agrees the emperor has no clothes. That story is the story that I think oversight has. It's not that any of the things we're working on are deep secrets. There's no question that Washington has problems, that Washington was part of the creation of the problem, that the greed wasn't all somewhere on Wall Street. There's no question that Medicare is underfunded and overpromised, that Social Security is heading toward beginning to have a deficit. Eventually, it'll effectively be all general funds. The secret is who's going to say today the emperor has no clothes on a subject and keep saying it until somebody does something about it. Our attempt to get a subpoena to open up the whole question of government's participation in this failure is one emperor has no clothes. By the time we go to, and this is a little off subject, but by the time we go into the midterm elections, I expect I will be offering a balanced budget from day one if we're given the majority. And there's a reason. In order to honestly state how far in the hole we are, You have to take the issues you're talking about, set them over there, honestly say how big they are and where they're going, look at the surplus we have in current expenditures. If you take all the entitlements out completely, and you take all the one-time spending like TARP and stimulus, and you look over here, you say, well, my goodness, you have a small surplus in current account. That's before interest. If you do that, that's the profit of the company known as the United States of America. Then you look at all the losses over here and you say, how are we going to get all of those to where we're at zero or positive there? We're going to have to do that. Between now and the election, one of the things that out of my committee, because I believe it's the right thing to do, we have to reform how people look at things, because when you've been used to deficits for a long time, no matter how big people talk about it, well, now it's $1 trillion, now it's $3 trillion, it's $1 trillion a year, it's going to be $12 trillion, it's going to be $20 trillion. They're numbers nobody can understand. If $1 trillion is $1 million a day from the birth of Christ till now, and you still haven't gotten even 3/4 of the way there, it's too much money for us to understand. My job will be to say the emperor has no clothes unless we fix it. Here is the scope of the problem in a way in which the American people can begin saying, I demand you fix it. That's a big job. Today I'm still working on getting countrywide subpoena properly served and getting the information. But it is, you're right, it is the most important issue. If we're going to fix the economy totally, we have to make sure that we're honest about the sins of the past and how we're going to pay for those.
Yes, other questions?